Well, hello everyone. It's time for a Mysidia video. That's right. And we're going to talk about the offer wall, not the fact that I'm currently on a 10-match winning streak in class matches. Okay. Not the fact that I'm doing it with some of my favorite fire units. Well, we're definitely not going to talk about how I've had some pretty easy layup matches along the way. For sure that we're not going to talk about that. But I am having fun playing manual PvP, by the way. If you played me auto, that was an accident, because when you click on this thing, the auto's already on, and I hit commence and then it goes into auto and then I fume. So that was an accident. If I beat you in auto, tough luck. If I beat you on manual, even tougher luck. And if you beat me, I'm coming for you. So you might be wondering why I decided to make this video. There was actually just a Reddit post that I commented on about how content creators haven't made videos on this subject. And I kind of wanted to just explain why I hadn't made a video so far. If you're on my Discord, then you know that I was thinking about making a video last night, and I decided that I would wait to see if we got a Gumi response. So I did not make a video last night. And then tonight I kind of was thinking, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, because we didn't really get a lot of information from the video. But I guess let's talk about it a little bit, and then that's one less person, we can cross off the list that's mentioned this scandal. I mean, if you want to call it a scandal. So I might disappoint a few people because I have pretty mild takes as per usual on this type of stuff. But in case you didn't know, there's an offer wall. And so the offer wall works is you play a game or sign up for an app or do a survey or whatever it is, and they give you Visior in exchange for your time, or sometimes for your money. If you spend money in another game, then they give you this this reward. And so recently we got a new offer wall from a new company, and it's all like they announced it in game. And I saw on Discord, some of my guildmates were like, hey, look at these crazy offer walls. Like they're saying 1 million viz, like 500,000 viz, whatever it was. And there's all these things that people were sending on Discord. And I'm like, that's pretty crazy. That must be a visual error or something. And then we started hearing about all these people that are actually doing the offer wall and fulfilling those rewards, and they're actually being fulfilled. It's not a visual error, and because they were saying lapis on some of them, which is the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius currency, and we use Visior in War Divisions. And if you don't know, the exchange is not quite the same in FFBE. You usually spend 4,000 lapis on a banner pull, whereas we spend 2,000 here. So it would make sense if it was lapis to be a little bit higher, but 5 million or whatever it was, that's too high. That's way too high. So that didn't make sense. So people started getting their offers fulfilled, and then that's kind of where people were trying to get in on it. And we heard about, all these rumors. And I'm not even going to say what we heard, or, because honestly, I don't believe all of it. And I also, there was obviously some photoshopped screenshots, and there were some ones that I thought were real. I think it's true that a lot of people got a ton of Visior. I don't think we can really dispute that, but I'm not going to get into, who got what and how much and whatever. We just know that there were people that got a bunch of Visior, and that was not what was intended. So at some point, I think someone asked me on Discord, or people were talking about it, and whether I was upset about the whole thing. And my take was this: that nothing has changed for me at all. Literally, I didn't do it. So I have no less Visior. I have 91,000 Visior. I didn't gain any Visior. I didn't lose any Visior. So that didn't change for me. My opponents in guild battle and in arena pretty much already have everything. They have the meta teams. They're playing, whatever teams and units that they that are coming out. And if I want to climb an arena, I'm going to have to face those people. And in the tier of guild battle that I'm in, generally people are making like walls of meta compositions, or at least a lot of, very similar teams. So I'm already facing, people that are pulling for every unit. So that didn't change for me either. So at the end of the day, this didn't really affect me. Now, that's a very short-sighted way to look at it, because there are long-term implications. If the Visior on people's accounts is allowed to stay, then obviously they are allowed to, then pull for a ton of units, get a bunch of soul stars, get a bunch of Mog medals, get a bunch of mind spheres, and then that would help for the reincarnation system, since you can trade in, your mind spheres for generic ones, and then you can use those to reincarnate. Now, when I think when the reincarnation system comes anyway, that people are going to, wail for it anyway, and that I will still see a heightened level of competition where I'm at, and I will have to deal with people with reincarnated units regardless. That's just going to happen. So if this problem doesn't really affect me in my eyes, then I'm not as worried about it. But that's, again, not the best way to look at it, because this also affects other people. So I stopped spending on this game over a year ago, I think around that time now. And that's another reason why this doesn't affect me, because I'm not spending any money on this game, and I don't have any plans to ever spend money on this game again. So it's not like I don't feel devalued, because I already spent money back in the day. I didn't spend a lot. I have a whole video about how much I've spent on the game and kind of what I spent it on. So you can go check that out if you're interested. So that angle doesn't, really affect me. But I do understand that it affects other people. So for example, if I were someone that was spending $100 a month and I'm trying to stretch that money and make it count, or if I'm someone that spends $1,000 a month and I'm paying out big bucks in order to get a certain amount of Visior and other currencies and things and items, whatever else, then yeah, I would be pretty pissed off right now. I would be very frustrated if I was one of those spenders, because I'm literally spending money, and then everybody else is getting, or not everybody else, but a subsection of people are getting Visior for free, or for a much smaller investment of money. And that would be a problem. Like that, I would be pretty upset about that. And if you're one of those people that spend in this game and you're upset about the offer wall situation, I think that is totally fair. I also think that there's some truth to what Cabbage was saying in his community post, where he talked about there's kind of a responsibility of the community to look out for the game. If we want the game to succeed, then we need to take care of each other and take care of the game. I think that is true. And I think an example of that is way back when they stopped doing like the fest medals and people were really upset, and people were calling to boycott the game. And I was kind of anti that. And that was an example of where, a section of the player base was doing harm to the game. And then I thought I would speak up and kind of mention that. So in this case, I do think there was some people that were doing harm to the game. And those are the people that were encouraging to then, take advantage of the offer wall. And some people are saying things like, oh, like if you went to a store and you bought something and then it turns out it was more expensive, that would be a bait and switch. And that would be, that wouldn't be cool. And that's ridiculous. Like, have you ever had a wrong price tag on an item before and you take it out to the cashier and they're like, oh, sorry, this actually scans for a higher amount. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't want it anymore. I'm going to go put it back. But you don't like yell and scream at the person. And if you do, then that's a problem. And you need to stop that. Like that happens. There's times where you see something. I know I've seen, for example, I have Gundams, right? I remember seeing a Gunpla, and the price was so cheap. And I'm like, this is really fishy. And it was way too low a price. I took it up to the cashier and I was like, yeah, I'll just buy this master grade. And they're like, they looked at it and they're like, that doesn't make sense. And they said, yeah, no, we can't sell you that. And I did not, kick and scream and make a fuss about it, because I saw that it was fishy. So when I think people see the offer wall and they see it's offering $1 million or like 6 figures of Visior, I thought that doesn't pass the eye test. It doesn't. So if someone were to take advantage of that, that's one thing. But then to encourage other players to take advantage of it, if that's what happened, in that case, that's doing damage to the game, in my personal opinion, because at that point, we're kind of creating a problem. And that's where I think it becomes an exploit. Because you're gaining an advantage over other people. You're doing something that I think you can see isn't quite right, because this is clearly not what was intended, and you're taking advantage of that moment. And I'm sure that we'll kind of in the comments debate whether or not that is a fair criticism or not. But I kind of think that it is. I think that as a community, we kind of have to see that that wasn't the way that it was meant to be. Okay, so with all that said, let's take a look at this notice. So it says here, we would like to offer our sincerest apologies, blah, blah, blah. This is, they just had to say that. They're investigating it. That's fine. Response going forward. The exploitation of bugs in order to gain an unfair advantage is considered to be misconduct prohibited by the terms of service or terms of use from the standpoint of fairness. Now, that's the thing was this actually a bug? I don't know. Like, they have to determine that. At the end of the day, the way the terms of use look, they can just do whatever they want. Like, we really don't have anything to stand on. But at the same time, they know they can't do that because they need to protect, the game and the perception of the game and some of the players that did this that will actually be spenders. And so they need to find a way to kind of appease everybody, but also, most importantly, restore the fairness. Now, again, I don't care too much what happens because I really don't feel that it affects me that much, but I do think it affects other people and that it needs to be fair for them as a whole and also for the game as a whole, because the outside perception of the game is really important if we're hoping new players are going to join us, because this issue made it to Gacha Gaming subreddit and it gave a whole whack of people another chance to kind of just attack Gumi. And not saying they don't deserve to be attacked, but if you like War of the Visions, it's kind of in your best interest for the company and the game to have a good reputation, not a bad one. And so they just didn't need more negative publicity, and that's kind of what they're getting right now. So Gumi needs to navigate this and come out of it looking solid to its player base and then to the spectating, gacha gamers that are outside of War of the Visions. And then finally, they're going to they apologize for how long this took, and then they're going to, make sure that everything's going to be fair in the future for people. I don't know, they can't really promise that because they haven't done that so many times, like in the last couple of months, let alone, the history of the game. But, they can say the nice words, at least. That's good. So people might wonder what I think should be done about this. And I think I guess the most fair thing to do would probably be to find a way to balance the accounts of the people that got more Visior than was intended. And I don't think Visior should go into the negative. So I think if it's been spent, it's kind of already gone. But I think if people have stockpiled Visior, then I think it is fair to reduce that to whatever amount it was intended to be. I think that's pretty reasonable, right? The people that spent money on the offer wall, I mean, I don't know what kind of like standing you have to go on for that, but I don't know. I think that you kind of had to guess what you were getting into, right? Like if you spent money on the offer wall to get a big reward and that reward is decreased and you feel bad that you spent money on it, well, again, it didn't pass the eye test. So I really think that you kind of, when you go in that hard on this type of opportunity, that you're aware of the risks. And then if you're not, then this is something you should stay away from in the future because of this exact situation. So that's kind of where I think, and so that's the people that were kind of involved in this. And then the people that are not involved like this, like yours truly, hey, just, you throw a little Viz my way, right? Like, I don't mind. I could take a little Visior. I mean, I guess it depends on how they assess the advantage of the other players, because they mention fairness and they want to make the game fair. But also, like I said, there has to be a good perception of the resolution of this. So even if it's not like exact, I think they need to be generous to everyone with the Visior they hand out. And the reason they would do that is so that people come out of the situation happy and they feel like balance has been restored and positive feelings about the game start to return. So I think there has to be a generous response for all players, and not just a balancing of the players that were affected by the offer wall. I think it has to go across the entire player base for there to be a positive way forward. So that's going to be it for my thoughts. I hope I covered everything. I didn't I didn't script this video because it is it's kind of late and I'm pretty tired. I've been coaching a lot this week, and I've actually been wrestling. I've been on the mats, exercising. That's why you can see I've got, oh, it's on the side. I've got a mark on my face because I got scratched by a wrestler the other day. But anyway, so I'm gonna sign off. Please let me know what you think. If you agree with me or disagree with me, you know, we'll talk in the comments and keep it civil. Please, you know, I've never deleted a comment on my YouTube ever. But you know, if things are getting out of hand, I would not hesitate to do that. So let's not make that a first. And we'll see you all in the next video soon enough.